What if some of the most powerful healing foods weren't hidden in modern laboratories, but recorded in ancient texts? Foods that sustained entire civilizations, traded across deserts, stored in times of famine, used not just to eat, but to restore strength, fight illness, and keep people alive when nothing else could. These weren't random ingredients. They were chosen, preserved, passed down, and yet today, most people overlook them because they don't look like medicine. They look like everyday food. But in the ancient world, there was no separation between food and healing. What you ate often determined whether you recovered or not. And hidden in these old records are foods once used for wounds, infections, weakness, and recovery, long before modern medicine existed. One of them became a symbol of abundance and survival. Another was carried by travelers for quick energy in the harshest conditions. And one, near the end of this list, was valued not just as food, but for cleansing and protection. On this channel, we explore traditional foods, practical remedies, and time-tested natural knowledge. Here are 15 healing superfoods hidden in the Bible. 1. Honey, the ancient preserver that still heals today. Let's start with something you've probably had 100 times, but never thought of as medicine. Honey. It appears often in ancient records, not just as food, but as a sign of abundance and survival. Entire regions were described by how much honey they produced. But this wasn't just about sweetness. In a world without refrigeration, honey was one of the only foods that could last indefinitely. But what's more interesting is how it was actually used. Honey was applied directly to wounds, burns, and infections. Long before modern medicine, people relied on it to protect injured skin and speed up recovery. It created a natural barrier, keeping moisture in while preventing contamination. Now modern research is starting to explain why. Honey contains natural antibacterial compounds, including hydrogen peroxide and plant-based antioxidants. Studies suggest it can help reduce inflammation, support tissue repair, and slow the growth of harmful bacteria. That's why certain types of medical-grade honey are still used in wound care today. And the best part is how simple it is. A spoonful can soothe a sore throat. A small amount can be applied to minor cuts. Or it can just be part of your daily food. No processing, no complexity. Honey isn't just an ancient sweetener. It's one of the oldest preserved medicines, still sitting in your kitchen. 2. Olive oil, the liquid that nourished and protected. Now here's something so common. Most people completely overlook its power. Olive oil. It was a staple across the ancient Mediterranean, used daily for food, light, and even personal care. It wasn't optional. It was essential. From cooking to skin application, olive oil was part of everyday life. But it wasn't just about calories. People used olive oil to protect the skin, treat dryness, and even soothe wounds. It was applied directly to the body, especially in harsh, dry climates where the skin easily cracked and became vulnerable to infection. And now we understand more about what's inside it. Olive oil is rich in healthy monounsaturated fats and powerful antioxidants like polyphenols. Studies suggest these compounds may help reduce inflammation, support heart health, and protect cells from long-term damage. It's one of the most studied traditional fats in the world. But what makes it stand out is how easy it is to use. Drizzle it over food. Use it as a base for simple meals, or apply small amounts directly to dry skin. No special preparation needed. Olive oil isn't just a cooking ingredient. It's a daily use substance that quietly supported health across entire civilizations. 3. Grapes, the fruit of strength and restoration. Let's move to something a little more familiar, but often underestimated. Grapes. They were one of the most widely cultivated fruits in the ancient world. Easy to grow, easy to store in dried form, and packed with natural sugars, grapes became a reliable source of energy. But they weren't just eaten for taste. Grapes were often given to the weak, the tired, and those recovering from illness. They provided quick nourishment when the body needed it most. In a time when food scarcity was common, something that delivered both energy and hydration was incredibly valuable. Modern research gives us a clearer picture of why. Grapes contain antioxidants like resveratrol and flavonoids. Studies suggest these compounds may help support heart health, reduce oxidative stress, and protect cells from damage over time. They also provide natural sugars that the body can quickly convert into energy. And the use today is just as simple. Eat them fresh, dry them into raisins for longer storage, or include them as part of everyday meals. No complexity. Grapes aren't just a fruit. They're one of the simplest ways to restore energy, the way people have done for thousands of years. 4. Wine, the fermented drink that carried more than flavor. Now this next one might surprise you, because it's often misunderstood. Wine. In the ancient world, wine wasn't just for celebration. It was part of daily life. Water sources were often unsafe, and fermentation provided a more stable, preserved drink. But beyond that, wine had practical uses. It was sometimes used to clean wounds, mixed with other substances for care, and even consumed in small amounts to support digestion. It wasn't excess, it was controlled, functional, and integrated into everyday survival. Modern science helps explain part of this. Wine, especially red wine, contains polyphenols like resveratrol. Studies suggest these compounds may support heart health and help reduce certain types of inflammation when consumed in moderation. The fermentation process also introduces compounds that can affect gut health. But the key word here is moderation, small amounts, intentional use, not excess. Because in the ancient world, wine wasn't abused, it was respected. Today, it's still used the same way. A small amount with food, part of a balanced lifestyle. Wine isn't just a drink. It's a preserved tradition of controlled, purposeful use. 5. Barley, the survival grain that sustained generations. Let's shift to something more foundational, something that kept people alive. Barley. This was one of the earliest cultivated grains in human history. It grew in harsh conditions, required less water than other crops, and produced reliable yields. When other crops failed, barley often survived, and that made it essential. Barley was used to make bread, porridge, and simple meals that could feed entire families. It was affordable, accessible, and dependable, especially for the poor. But it wasn't just filler food. Barley provided steady energy. It digested slowly, helping people stay full longer in times when meals were uncertain. That kind of stability mattered. Modern research highlights another layer. Barley is rich in fiber, particularly beta-glucans, which studies suggest may help regulate blood sugar levels and support heart health. It also contributes to gut health by feeding beneficial bacteria, and it's still just as usable today. Cook it as porridge, add it to soups, or use it as a base grain for meals. Simple, filling, reliable. Barley isn't flashy, but it's one of the grains that quietly sustained life when survival depended on it. 6. Wheat bread, the daily food that carried life. Now here's something so ordinary, most people never question it. Bread. Specifically, wheat bread. It was the most common daily food in the ancient world. Not a side dish, not an extra. Bread was the meal. For many people, it was eaten every single day, sometimes multiple times a day, because it was one of the most reliable ways to turn grain into something sustaining. But this wasn't soft, processed bread like today. It was dense, coarse, often made by hand, from freshly ground wheat. And because of that, it carried more than just calories, it carried real nourishment. Bread kept people alive. It provided steady energy, especially for laborers, travelers, and families who couldn't afford much else. In times of scarcity, bread was stretched, shared, and rationed. It wasn't taken for granted. Modern research helps explain why it worked so well. Whole wheat contains fiber, B vitamins, and essential minerals. Studies suggest whole grains may support digestion, stabilize energy levels, and contribute to heart health when consumed in their less processed forms. And the difference matters, because what sustained people then wasn't stripped down, it was whole. Today, you can still use it the same way. Choose whole grain bread. Keep it simple. Make it part of daily meals. Wheat bread isn't just food. It's one of the oldest ways humans turned grain into strength. Day after day. 7. Lentils, the humble food that built strength. Let's move to something small, but incredibly powerful. Lentils. They don't look like much, just tiny seeds. Easy to overlook. But in the ancient world, lentils were one of the most important sources of nourishment, especially for those who had little access to meat. They were affordable, easy to store, and quick to cook, which made them essential. Lentils were often used in stews and simple meals that could feed entire households. They provided substance in times when food options were limited, giving people the strength to continue working, traveling, and surviving. But what made them valuable wasn't just availability, it was what they contained. Modern research shows that lentils are rich in plant-based protein, iron, and fiber. Studies suggest they may help support muscle maintenance, improve digestion, and stabilize blood sugar levels due to their slow-digesting carbohydrates. In other words, steady strength. Not a quick spike, not a crash, sustained energy. And they're still just as practical today. Boil them into soups, add them to meals, or use them as a simple, filling base. No complexity needed. Lentils may look small, but for generations, they were the difference between hunger and strength. 8. Garlic, the everyday defense against illness. Now here's something most people already have in their kitchen, but rarely think of as medicine. Garlic. Its smell is strong, its taste is sharp, but that's exactly what made it valuable in the ancient world. Garlic wasn't just used for flavor, it was used as protection. People ate it regularly, especially in conditions where disease could spread quickly. It was believed to strengthen the body and help fight off sickness, particularly among workers and travelers exposed to harsh environments. And now we understand more about why. Garlic contains sulfur compounds, especially allicin, which forms when it's crushed or chopped. Studies suggest these compounds may have antibacterial, antiviral, and anti-inflammatory properties, helping the body respond to infections. It's not just tradition, there's real function behind it. Garlic may also support heart health and immune response when consumed consistently as part of a balanced diet. And using it today couldn't be simpler. Crush it into food, let it sit for a few minutes before cooking, or include it regularly in meals. No special preparation. Garlic isn't just a flavor booster. It's one of the oldest natural defenses, quietly built into everyday food. 9. Onions, the layered food that supported survival. Now let's talk about something even more overlooked. Onions. They were one of the most accessible foods in the ancient world. Easy to grow, easy to store, and able to last for long periods without spoiling, which made them reliable. Onions were eaten raw, cooked, or added to almost any dish. They brought flavor, yes, but more importantly, they added substance to meals that might otherwise be lacking. But their role went deeper than taste. People used onions as part of their daily diet to maintain strength, especially in physically demanding environments. They were part of survival food, not luxury. Modern science adds another layer. Onions contain compounds like quercetin and sulfur-based antioxidants. Studies suggest these may help reduce inflammation, support immune function, and contribute to heart health over time. Simple compounds, real effects, and they're still just as usable today. Add them to meals, cook them slowly, or use them fresh. No effort required. Onions don't look impressive, but they've supported human survival, one layer at a time. 10. Coriander, the quiet seed that supported digestion. And now here's one that most people don't think about at all. Coriander, often seen as a small spice or garnish. Coriander has been used for thousands of years in cooking and traditional remedies. Both its seeds and leaves were valued not just for flavor, but for how they affected the body. In the ancient world, digestion was a constant challenge. Food wasn't always clean, storage wasn't always reliable, and stomach issues were common. Coriander became one of the simple ways people tried to manage that. It was added to meals not just to enhance taste, but to support digestion and reduce discomfort. Modern research supports part of this traditional use. Coriander contains natural compounds that studies suggest may help with digestion, reduce bloating, and support gut health. It also has antioxidant properties that may help protect cells from damage. Small seed, real function, and using it today is effortless. Add it as a spice. Use fresh leaves in meals, or include it regularly in your cooking. No special process. Coriander isn't dramatic, but it's one of those quiet ingredients that's been supporting digestion for centuries without drawing attention. 11. Hyssop, the cleansing plant that meant more than clean. Now here's a plant most people have never used, but was once deeply valued. Hyssop. It appears in ancient practices tied to cleansing and purification. But beyond symbolism, hyssop was a real plant people handled, prepared, and used in daily life, especially when cleanliness could mean the difference between health and sickness. Because in the ancient world, contamination was everywhere. Water could be unsafe. Wounds could easily become infected, and people needed simple, accessible ways to manage that risk. Hyssop became part of that solution. It was used in washing, in preparation, and in situations where cleansing mattered. Not just visually, but practically. People understood that certain plants had properties that helped protect the body, even if they didn't know the science behind it. Now we're starting to understand more. Hyssop contains compounds that studies suggest may have antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties. It has also been explored for its potential to support respiratory health, particularly in traditional herbal use, which explains why it was valued. And using it today is still possible. It can be brewed as a tea, used in herbal preparations, or applied in simple traditional ways. Nothing complicated. Hyssop isn't just a symbolic plant, it's a reminder that cleansing has always been part of staying healthy. 12. Mustard seed, the tiny seed with surprising strength. Now this one is easy to underestimate. Mustard seed. It's small, almost insignificant in size. But in the ancient world, mustard was more than just a flavor. It was a functional plant used in both food and practical remedies. Mustard seeds were crushed, mixed, and applied in different ways. They were known for their heat, something people used intentionally, because that heat had a purpose. When applied or consumed, mustard could stimulate the body. It was often used in ways that helped increase circulation or create warmth, especially in cold or stagnant conditions. Modern research points to similar properties. Mustard seeds contain compounds like glucosinolates, which break down into biologically active substances. Studies suggest these may have anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial effects and may help stimulate circulation when used appropriately. It's not just spice, it's activation. And even today, it's easy to use. Add it to food, use it in simple preparations, or incorporate it into your diet regularly. No complexity required. Mustard seed may be small, but it's one of those plants that proves size has nothing to do with strength. 13. Almonds, the nutrient-dense food that sustained energy. Now let's move to something more familiar, but often underestimated. Almonds. They were considered valuable in the ancient world, not just as food, but as something worth cultivating and preserving. Trees that produced almonds were seen as long-term sources of nourishment, because almonds offered something important: density. In a small amount, they provided significant energy and nutrition. That made them ideal for travel, storage, and daily consumption, especially when food wasn't always guaranteed. They were portable strength. Modern research explains why. Almonds are rich in healthy fats, protein, vitamin E, and magnesium. Studies suggest they may support heart health, help regulate blood sugar, and provide sustained energy without sharp spikes. They're compact but complete, and using them today is effortless. Eat them raw, add them to meals, or keep them as a daily snack. No preparation needed. Almonds aren't flashy, but they're one of the most efficient whole foods used for strength across generations. 14. Figs, the sweet fruit that supported digestion. Now, here's a fruit that feels simple, but carries a long history. Figs. They were one of the earliest cultivated fruits, valued for their sweetness, but also for how well they stored when dried. In a world without refrigeration, that mattered. Figs could last, which made them dependable. But beyond that, They were often used when people needed gentle nourishment, easy to eat, naturally sweet, and supportive during recovery or weakness. They weren't heavy, they were restorative. Modern science adds clarity. Figs are high in fiber, natural sugars, and essential minerals. Studies suggest they may support digestion, help regulate bowel movements, and provide quick but balanced energy, which explains their traditional use. And today, they're just as practical. Eat them fresh, dry them for storage, or include them as part of simple meals. No effort required. Figs aren't just a sweet fruit. They're one of the oldest, natural foods used to restore balance, gently and consistently. 15. Dates, the survival fruit that restored strength fast. And finally, one of the most important foods for survival in harsh conditions. Dates. In dry, unforgiving environments, not many foods could grow. But date palms thrived. And what they produced was something incredibly valuable, a fruit packed with energy. Dates were carried by travelers, stored for long journeys, and given to those who were weak or recovering. They required no preparation, no cooking. Just eat, and that simplicity mattered, because when strength was low, you needed something immediate. Modern research confirms what people already knew. Dates are rich in natural sugars, fiber, potassium, and antioxidants. Studies suggest they provide quick energy while also supporting digestion and overall nutrient intake. Fast, but not empty. And they're still used the same way today. Eat them as they are. Use them for quick energy, or include them in daily meals. No complexity. Dates aren't just fruit. They're one of the oldest natural energy sources used when survival depended on it. And when you step back and look at these foods together, something becomes clear. These weren't rare ingredients. They were everyday staples, simple, accessible, consistent. But in the ancient world, they weren't taken for granted. They were used with purpose, to heal, to strengthen, to survive. And maybe that's what we've lost today. Not the foods themselves, but the understanding of how to use them. Because the same ingredients that sustained people thousands of years ago are still here, still available, still powerful. So the question is, which one surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to explore more practical, time-tested foods and natural remedies like these, make sure to subscribe to The Green Homestead, because sometimes the most powerful solutions are the ones that have been here all along.